Welcome beyond the veil. You are listening to Moonlight and Ironwood. If you want to skip the wait and download the full audiobook right now, the link is in the description. Now, take a deep breath. The mist is rising. They rolled, snapping and tearing. The lieutenant went for Aiden's throat, but Aiden dropped his shoulder, taking the bite on his thick scruff. He used the leverage to flip the rogue, pinning him to the ground. Aiden didn't hesitate. He didn't gloat. He finished it. With the leader dead, the remaining rogues broke. They surrendered, dropping to their bellies in submission. Silence fell over the gorge, broken only by the heavy breathing of wolves and the hiss of radiator steam. Aiden shifted back, standing naked and bloody amidst the carnage. He didn't care. He walked to the back of the prison truck. The doors were dented, scratched, but still sealed. He banged his fist on the metal. "Open up!" he shouted. The lock clicked. The doors swung open slowly. Inside, in the dim light, sat two cages. In the first, Marcus was gripping the bars, his face twisted in fury. He looked at the dead rogues outside, then at Aiden. He spat on the floor. In the second cage sat Jackie. She wasn't angry. She wasn't screaming. She was sitting perfectly still, her hands folded in her lap. She looked at Aiden, at the blood covering his chest, at the bodies of the army she had summoned. Her eyes met his. There was no fear there, only a cold, calculating assessment. "Impressive, Aiden," she said, her voice calm amidst the slaughter. "You actually grew a spine." Aiden stared at her. He felt nothing. No love, no hate, just the cold certainty that she was dangerous. "You lost, Jackie," he said. "Again." He slammed the doors shut, sealing her in the darkness. "Secure the area," Aiden ordered his pack, "and get these council guards some medical attention. We have a victory to report." As the sun began to creep into the gorge, illuminating the victory, Aiden looked up toward the estate, miles away. "I kept them away," he thought, sending the sentiment down the bond to journey. "I held the line." He was the sword, and the sword was sharp. 25. The Price of the Crown. The return to the estate was a somber victory lap. The Ironwood trucks rolled through the gates, battered but triumphant, carrying the surviving rogues and the precious cargo of the prison truck. I was waiting on the steps. I hadn't shifted, but my wolf was so close to the surface that my skin felt tight, buzzing with anxiety. Kaylin stood a few feet behind me, silent as a shadow. When Aiden stepped out of the lead SUV, covered in grime and dried blood, my heart lurched. I ran down the steps, ignoring decorum, and threw my arms around him. "You're alive," I whispered into his neck, breathing in the scent of iron and pine. "I told you I'd handle it," Aiden said, hugging me back so tight my ribs creaked. "They didn't touch the transport. We stopped them in the gorge." Behind us, the doors of the prison truck were opened. Council guards, looking sheepish and battered, dragged Marcus out first. He was snarling, fighting every inch of the way. Then came Jackie. She walked out on her own, her head high. Her tactical gear was pristine compared to the gore around her. She scanned the crowd, her eyes landing on me. For a moment, the world narrowed down to just the two of us. Sisters. Enemies. The two sides of the Ironwood coin. "Journey," she nodded, as if we were meeting for coffee. "Jackie," I replied, my voice steady. Elder Thorne emerged from the house, flanked by Alpha Stone. She looked furious. "You used a council transport as bait," she hissed at Aiden. "You risked my men." "I saved your men," Aiden corrected, releasing me to face her. If we hadn't been there, that gorge would be a graveyard. Your security was compromised. My team cleaned up the mess." Thorn looked at the carnage, at the pile of captured rogues, and at the unyielding line of Ironwood warriors standing behind their alpha. She knew she had lost the argument. "Very well," she said tightly. "The prisoners will be taken to the capital immediately. The trial will be swift." She gestured to the guards. They shoved Jackie forward.
As she passed me, Jackie paused. She leaned in close, her voice a whisper meant only for me. "You won the battle, little sister," she murmured. "But remember, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Don't trip." "I won't," I said, meeting her gaze with my violet eyes. "And if I do, I have a pack to catch me. Do you have anyone, Jackie?" Her mask slipped for a fraction of a second, revealing a chasm of loneliness so deep it was terrifying. Then the mask was back, cold and perfect. "I don't need anyone," she said. She walked away, climbing into the council's secure transport without looking back. As the convoy drove away, taking the last of the threat with it, a heavy silence settled over the estate. It was over. The coup was crushed. The rogues were broken. I felt a hand on my shoulder. I turned to see Kaelin. "You didn't scream," he noted. "I didn't need to," I said. "Aiden handled it." Kaelin nodded, a rare, approving gesture. "Good. A queen knows when to fight, and when to let her knights do the dirty work." He looked at Aiden, who was watching us warily. "Your mate is strong," Kaelin admitted. "Reckless, arrogant, but strong. He will make a decent alpha." "High praise," Aiden muttered. "Don't let it go to your head," Kaelin said. He turned back to me. "Training is over for today. Go be with your mate. Tomorrow, we start on mental shielding. If you're going to rule, you can't have every stray thought leaking out of your ears." He walked away, vanishing into the house. I turned back to Aiden. He looked exhausted, battered, and beautiful. "It's over," I said, taking his hand. "For now," Aiden agreed. He kissed my forehead. "But we won, Journey. We actually won." I looked up at the sky, where the first stars were appearing. Yeah, we did. Chapter 26. The Violet Dawn. 6 months later. The spring air was sweet with the scent of blooming jasmine and thawing earth. The Ironwood estate had healed from the scars of winter. The stone columns of the amphitheater had been repaired, stronger than before. I stood in front of the mirror, smoothing down the fabric of my dress. It wasn't beige. It was white. Pure, blinding white silk that hugged every curve I had once tried to hide. "Stop fidgeting," Nia ordered, swatting my hand away. She fixed the veil, her own gamma uniform looking sharp and pressed. "You look perfect, like a goddess. Seriously, if Aiden faints, I win the betting pool." "There's a betting pool?" I asked. "Obviously. Caleb bet he cries. I bet he faints. Mom bet he just stares at you like a lost puppy." "He's an alpha," I reminded her. "He doesn't faint." "We'll see," Nia winked. The door opened, and my father walked in. He looked older than he had 6 months ago, the gray in his hair more pronounced, but his smile was genuine. The guilt that had haunted him had faded into a quiet, supportive pride. "Ready, my queen?" he asked, offering his arm. "Ready, Dad." We walked out of the house and down the aisle of the amphitheater. It was packed with wolves, not just from Ironwood, but representatives from neighboring packs, and even a delegate from the council, though thankfully not Thorn. At the altar, Aiden waited. He wore a white tuxedo that made his tan skin glow. When he saw me, his gray eyes went wide. He didn't faint,
but he did stumble slightly, and I saw Caleb smirk and whisper something to Nia. I reached the altar. My father kissed my cheek and placed my hand in Aiden's. "Take care of her," he whispered. "With my life," Aiden promised. The ceremony was ancient and beautiful. We spoke the vows of the pack, promising to lead, to protect, and to serve. And then, the final step, the mating mark.
Aiden leaned in, his eyes flashing gold. "Ready?" "Always," I whispered. He bit down gently on the junction of my neck and shoulder. It wasn't painful, it was electric. A surge of power flooded through me, binding our souls together in a way that was deeper than any promise. I felt him, his strength, his love, his unwavering loyalty. I marked him in return, sinking my teeth into his shoulder, claiming him as mine before the eyes of gods and wolves. When we pulled apart, the crowd erupted. Howls filled the air, a chorus of joy and unity that shook the trees. I looked out at them, my pack. Nia was cheering the loudest, her arm linked with Caleb's. My parents were crying happy tears. Even Kaylin, standing in the shadows of the back row, gave a curt nod before disappearing. I looked at Aiden, my mate, my alpha. "So," he whispered, pulling me close, "what does the queen want to do first?" I smiled, my violet eyes glowing with the promise of a new dawn. "First," I said, "we dance. Then, we rule." And as the music started and he swept me into my arms, I knew that no matter what darkness came for us in the future, we would face it together. The beta's shadow was gone. The Violet Queen had risen. The end. Thank you for stepping through the veil with me. I hope this story found a home in your imagination. If you enjoyed your time here, please consider leaving a rating or review. It helps the mist spread to new listeners and helps me bring more dark worlds to life. You can find more stories, full audiobooks, and updates on my YouTube channel, Misty Vale Stories. Until next time, keep the lights low and sweet nightmares. The shadows are lengthening. That is the end of this chapter. Can't wait to see what happens next. You don't have to. Download the full, uninterrupted story right now at the link below. Otherwise, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next chapter. Sweet nightmares.